To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is the Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Sean Whittington. I'm a seminarian in the United States Old Catholic Church, and I'm coming to you live from my haunted house, my very haunted house, where I live. So, my guest today will be very comfortable visiting with me here. And I suspect she's quite haunted herself. And you all tune in because you all know her and love her. I love her and respect her. It's going to be a great show. She's in the green room. I will bring her out ASAP. Let's check the prayer urn first. Beatrice W. from California. Hi, Beatrice. I'm a cancer survivor. Well, God bless you. My wife's a 3-time cancer survivor. Been there, done that. Wasn't supposed to survive. Neither was she. You two have a lot in common. Maybe I'll introduce you two. Would you offer up a prayer of thanks to God for me and also ask God to please reveal his plans for me? This request is going to make me cry, Beatrice. That is a wonderful request. Um, and I will offer up a very nice prayer for you. And I have some nice prayers up here. I think this is going to be okay. Yeah, this is a beautiful one. Brothers and sisters, for Beatrice, please touch your computer screen, close your eyes, bow your head, and think love and light and wonderful thoughts for Beatrice for having come through her journey. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Beautiful Lord, purify my heart. Grant me your divine wisdom as I make you the center of my life, King Jesus. Guide me in all that I do. Save me from pride, arrogance, doubt, and fear. O Lord, lead me to victory where the waters are calm, the earth is still, and where I overlook the trials from the mountaintop with peace in my heart, knowing I have survived the storm. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Luke chapter 12, verse 12. For the Holy Spirit will teach you in that very hour what you ought to say. James chapter 1, verse 5. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. Amen. All right, Beatrice, God bless you. Good for you. Hang in there. Uh, if your discernment is not as uh, focused and as honed in as some may be, uh, pray the rosary often as you can, as often as you can. You'll get some discernment and some messages on what your next path should be. And I will keep you on the prayer list too for that. Let's check the Paranormal Ministry mailbag. Joey R., also from California. Hey, California people in the house. Aren't you all supposed to be moving out of that state and coming this way? Huh. I am a ghost hunter. Yay. Ghost hunter in the house. You're among family, brother. I'm tired of hunting by myself. How should I go about putting a team together? You know what? This is an awesome question, not only for me, but for my guest tonight. And I'm going to leave it out and probably run this past her also because she only heads up one of the one of Colorado's most famous and respected paranormal teams there is. But in a nutshell, let me tell you this: go on social media. Wherever town you're in, there, go on the social media. Advertise that you're looking for investigators to join your team and help you in your ghost adventures. Shouldn't use that term, but um, and just let people don't throw down too many rules. Let people bring whatever they bring to the table, and if you get along with them and you see eye to eye on how you guys approach paranormal investigations, then just go for it. and have some fun. But I would advertise in social media, Joey, on that to get some team members. Yeah, it's a bummer to investigate by yourself. So I wish you the best of luck. But I'm going to leave that question out here and run it past my guest today. If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there to visit, keep in mind my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, brothers and sisters, trust me. But if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send in a small donation to our ministry. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. Don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. On that page, scroll down a little bit past all the cool stuff to buy if you go for that stuff. But you'll see my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. How cool is that? You get to help the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. This is also a great time to get all caught up because God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2, Chronicles of an American Exorcist, comes out. Supposed to come out next month. It's ready to go. But I talk about something in the book that I haven't been able to get permission yet to talk about. So I can't publish the book until I've been given permission to talk about this particular thing. But there are some stories in book 2 that I had in book 1 that I wasn't able to bring closure to because the cases were ongoing, and I do that on a couple of these stories in book 2. So this is a great time to get the first book, get all caught up before the second book comes out, and you rush out to go get the second book, which I pray you all do. You can get the book, my book, the first one, autographed in a house blessing kit off of the website, but you can also get it a little less expensive at Amazon. Scroll down a little bit further on that page, you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I am a founding member. I offer a 12-week online college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And that is the perfect course for all you true warriors for Christ that feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, and putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. You can enroll in the course there at the website. If you want more information about the course before making that type of commitment, there's a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page, or you can just call me. I'm approachable, I'm easy to get a hold of, and we can talk about if the course is right for you. No, you're not going to learn how to be an exorcist. That's a calling. This course is exactly what it says, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through my eyes and through my many years of knowledge out in the field dealing with those types of things. Most importantly, please keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers, and all my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed items that you can only get from yours truly. Okay, the reason why you all tuned in tonight. Once again, I love her. I respect her. It's been a long time since we've chatted like this, so I'm excited. What can I say about her? Her resume goes on and on and on and on. World renowned, critically acclaimed paranormal author, elite para-hunter, paranormal investigator, ghostbuster, ghost hunter, you name it. And she's just cool. Don't hold it against her that she lives in Colorado. Brothers and sisters, please welcome to the show the one and only Clarissa Vasquez.
Hey, Rev.
What are you doing?
Well, right now I'm talking to you. and trying really hard to overlook that whole Colorado snarky comment.
You look very pretty today.
Well, thank you.
I'm so happy that you're here. And before we go, we'll talk about this more after I do this. But I first want to show you and show everybody that I got your new book,
Yay!
and The Phantom Hitchhiker Project and America's Haunted Roadways.
Mm-hmm.
Just a book added on to the many you've already written, but I wanted you to know that I got it. I wanted everybody else to know got it. And I want to read the heartwarming thing you wrote to me in here. Dear Rev, please make check payable to me and send to the address enclosed ASAP. And please, Rev, do not ask me for another favor. I love that. Um, Signed, Clarissa Vasquez. I'm just kidding. They didn't say that. But thank you so much. Can't wait to read it. I know it's going to be awesome. And we are going to talk more about that today. What we are going to talk about today, and if I ask you anything you don't want to talk about, you know me. All you got
Oh
to
yeah.
do is say, Rev, I'd rather move on off that topic, and it's a done deal. But this show has taken on a life of its own. Um, as soon as I start advertising who's going to be on my show, 2 or 3 days or a week ahead of time, fans and followers of that person always start sending me in questions, which happened with you too. Yeah, Clarissa's going to be on. Oh, cool. We ask her this. So I jotted down a few questions here from fans and followers, but I thought I would start with this question
Okay.
from Joey R. in California,
Okay.
who is a ghost hunter, tired of hunting by himself, wants to form a team, doesn't know how to go about doing it. And before you answer, let me just tell everybody, and everybody already knows, let me say your website is www.colo, paranormal, all one word.com.
Mm-hmm.
You also have a Facebook page of the same name.
Yep.
You are the founder
Mm-hmm.
of Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows and respects that team, been around for a long time, ever since I've known you, and long before that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's I said what I could to Joey. What do you think? I mean, your team is very successful. You got a lot of team members. You've been. I'm giving you the floor now to anybody on the team you want to introduce. Please feel free. Talk about how you put together back when you were in Joey's shoes. I don't know if you actually were in that exact type of situation, but back when you decided I'm going to put together a team, what did you do and how did you make the team so successful?
So CCPI has been officially formed since 2004. We just celebrated our 18th anniversary. We are the second longest running team in the state of Colorado, second only to Rocky Mountain Paranormal, who's been around since 94. Or I'm sorry, 98. So they've got 6 years on us. When my friend Chade and I first started, I've been researching paranormal since the mid 90s. I've been researching ghostly phenomena, looking for extraterrestrials, cryptids. I've been doing it all since the mid 90s. In the early 2000s, my friend Chade and I see two of my CCPI team members are actually in chat and leaving comments. And so thank you guys for tuning in. We discovered that we had this mutual thing in common. And so we started going out together. And in 2004, paranormal TV was just starting to become a thing. So some of the stigma was being removed from talking about having had a paranormal experience. So people were more comfortable talking about what was going on. And so they heard about what Chade and I were doing, which at the time was just going to, cemeteries and, creepy locations that, we'd heard about around town, and checking them out. We had analog tape recorders and Polaroid cameras and stuff like that. Well, word got out about what we were doing. People were like, "Hey, you need to come check out my house, or you need to go check out my business, or whatever." Uh, and before long, it just snowballed. And so we went from being, weekend hobbyists to going out every night of the week for about 3 solid months. And we can't do this anymore. We're burning the candle at both ends. I mean, granted, we were in our mid-20s, but we can't do this. So we took on some team members, started training them in, technique and theory, in accordance with what we were doing, and CCPI was born. Now, to answer the question from your listener or your viewer, I guess this is a video show, it's not a radio show. I would try to find an already established team in the area. Look for things like longevity. Look for what kind of protocols do they have, whether it's technique or safety procedures. Look and see if they have those in place. If they just started up and they've got no policies or procedures for keeping you safe, or teaching you how to do things that aren't going to potentially escalate what could already be a dangerous situation, you really don't want to sign up with them. You know, any good team will have references. So, look for that. Starting your own team is hard. I've had a lot of people come to me said, I tried to do it on my own and it just didn't happen. So I want to work with you. I've had a lot of people that have worked with me and went, okay, I'm going to strike out on my own. I'm like, okay, good luck. And within weeks or months, they're done. It's not easy to form a team and keep it running. So that would be my recommendation, is to find an established and reputable organization that is willing to work with you and train you, and and especially having those safety policies and procedures and protocols in place. That's paramount.
That was so wonderfully said, and I didn't see that answer coming, and that was way better than my answer too. Um, I didn't see that coming, and that is so spot on, which with what he really should do.
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't see that coming. Find a reputable team in your area and ask them if you can join, or look and see if there's some people that are advertising will train if you
Mhm.
meet our criteria,
Mhm.
yada yada yada. That was awesome, way better than my answer. So very very cool,
Thank you.
and hopefully that helps you, Joey.
Joey,
um,
California.
you know what's funny, you said something. I'm going to bring up a couple of things that I didn't think I was going to talk to you about. One was, you mentioned, I remember back in the day, this is a twofold question for you.
Okay.
I remember back in the day growing up, I was that weird kid that it's ghosts scared me,
Hmm.
but they scared me so much that I was like, why am I so scared? And why do I want to keep trying to find them? But I
Right.
knew that all my little friends were scared of them too. So I never brought anybody along with me, but I was the kid on the Schwinn bike with the basket, with my little, Polaroid camera
Hmm.
in there, and a little tape recorder, riding around looking for old abandoned looking locations to go in and,
Hmm.
see if I could find a ghost.
Yep.
And then of course, you know, you look around for some of the time, the famous ghost hunters around, and you kind of followed them a little bit. Maybe they had a book out or two, and you got their book and you read
Hmm.
about, how they went about doing their thing. So, but it was a time, and I'm going to be 63 next month. When I was young, it was a time where like people didn't really talk about that stuff.
Right.
So now there's a two-edged sword here with these shows that all came out
Yeah.
back in the day. Um, I remember, Ghost Hunters and then Ghost Adventures, and watched a few of those episodes, and then all the many shows that have come and gone since then. Some good, some not so much. Um, and the two-edged sword was that got everybody talking about it, and it made it all of a sudden now cool to be a ghost hunter, and you weren't crazy, and you could tell people that you were into this and you watched the shows, yada yada yada.
Right.
Um, the flip side of that coin now is that with those shows came a level of drama in the paranormal community unlike anything I'd ever seen in my lifetime leading up to that. People will say, well, because Rev, nobody talked about it, so you didn't know if there was going to be any drama. Well, maybe that's true. But even occasionally when you talk to people about it, um, there still wasn't that drama. And now everybody wanted to try to be on a show. And then came a lot of the backstabbing and the people talking bad about each other behind each other's backs
Mm-hmm.
and the teams battling and for who has the best evidence. And so let's talk about two things. One, I don't know if you have a psychic on your team. I have been blessed to have met some very truly gifted psychics in my time, my wife being one. She
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like to talk about it, so she's probably going to get mad I brought it up. But I like to investigate with them. There's teams out there that um, don't mind having a psychic on the team. In fact, some really won't investigate without one. And then there's the flip side of that coin: teams that don't want to have nothing to do with. They don't attack them or say anything bad about them. They just prefer not to have a psychic on the team. So let's address the paranormal drama that came with all these TV shows, and then let's talk about psychics on the teams.
Yeah. So, the paranormal drama, and I think that's the way it goes with just about any kind of new television phenomena. I think you see that, with the home improvement shows and with the cooking shows and stuff like that. We just don't hear about it because we're not in those fields. Um, and so yeah, there's a lot of paranormal drama, and there's, you hear about paranormal unity and all of that. Um, I think one of the reasons that CCPI has lasted as long as we have is we just don't play into that. We don't play with it. We don't get involved. Somebody starts talking smack, whatever. And I actually have a written policy. It, my newest investigator, Steele, is actually watching right now. He's already commented in chat. Um, and he'll tell you, because he's the most recent person to go through our training, that there is a policy that says, yes, there are other teams out there and they may not um, uh, perform or behave as ethically as we do, but under no circumstances will trash talking another investigation organization be tolerated. Because at some point, they may need to come to us for help, or we may need to, seek out their assistance for something. And so, we try to have a good working relationship with all of the teams in the area, regardless of their ethics or lack thereof. Um, and you'll even see it on TV. There are some, pardon my camera being all wonky here. I'm really having a hard. I'm not at my house. I'm at my best friend's house. And there's no desk or table or anything where I could set up and do this. And so I'm like sitting in bed doing it. I'm having a hard time getting comfortable. Um, so forgive me for wiggling
That's
around a little
okay.
bit. I'm just
That's
trying to,
okay.
I'm middle-aged and I hurt.
Hey, we don't want to go there with me.
Right. So, um, yeah, so we just, we stay out of the drama.
Good for
Yes,
you.
there are other organizations out there, and they may not behave as ethically as they probably should in this field. But that's on them. That's their karma, that's their negative reviews, that's their potential disaster on the horizon. um, we just we just do our thing and keep moving along. um,
Good for you.
Now, with regard to psychics, and I know you and we've discussed this on your other show in the past, CCPI does not utilize psychics, clairvoyants, sensitives, mediums, because we try to operate as scientifically as possible. And we follow the premise that you cannot prove the paranormal with the paranormal. And, psychic abilities fall into that category still as not being able to be, scientifically backed up. So that does fall into the paranormal category. It's really cool to research and really cool to investigate and everything, but it can't be scientifically verified yet. So we don't go there. We try to rely on technology, and we test the theories, and and we experiment and gather our data, and then try to replicate our results.
Very, very cool. Very good. Yeah, and your approach is very professional and a mature approach to that. You just don't choose to have psychics on the team. I think for me, being mostly like a working cases in like homes,
Mm-hmm.
for me it was came down to being able to help families and bring closure to them.
Right.
And some of these, it didn't happen overnight. It took a while to have this list of people that I can count on one hand that I trust and believe they're truly gifted to help me um, bring closure and help these families.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's just two different camps, but the camps can still respect how they
Absolutely.
go about doing their things, and that's what I
Mm-hmm.
love about your team, because I think back to some of the greatest old school investigators, and most of them had themselves and all of their equipment and a psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thought that was the way they all did it. And then there are some teams that are very like they get into that drama about why they don't have a
Mm-hmm.
psychic on the team and all of that sort of stuff. So it is what it is. But I think now you mentioned this is another question I wasn't going to ask you, but you mentioned the scientific approach. I know many investigators follow the scientific method
Mm-hmm.
and they apply that to their
Mm-hmm.
paranormal investigations.
Mm-hmm.
I know that uh, all of us under that paranormal community umbrella, we're all labeled with being a part of a pseudoscience.
Pseudoscience.
Do you believe? I've gone on record to say, to me, and this is just my humble opinion, to me, paranormal investigating, ghost hunting, ghost busting, um, many parapsychologists that are believers, many aren't, but the ones that are believers in life after death and ghosts, um, I think to me it's always been much more of a spiritual endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved the I've never sat around a campfire and told ghost stories, but when I
That's
relay
fun.
my experiences to people, I liken it to that experience. Like they're paranormal. Sharing your paranormal stories is like sitting around the campfire and telling ghost stories. So to me, it's always been a spiritual endeavor. I have some close friends that are all about the science, and I totally dig and appreciate that too. But I do believe until I can have a ghost sit down here with me on my show and in have an interview,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's always going to be a spiritual endeavor. Having said that, do you believe one day scientifically we will be able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the existence of life after death and that ghosts are real, um, and put that pseudoscience label to rest?
Okay. This is a two-part answer. The short answer, yes. Now, here's the long answer. I've already proven that we're not a pseudoscience. That neat little book that you held up earlier, yep, right there. The Phantom Hitchhiker Project and America's Haunted Roadways, by yours truly, with the foreword by Rick McCollum from Hollywood Ghost Hunters, by the way. Rick was very gracious to write the foreword for that book, and I am indebted to him. That project, CCPI worked the Phantom Hitchhiker Project for almost 10 years. And what we did was we actually proved that paranormal investigating, or more specifically ghost hunting, can be conducted scientifically. It can be done utilizing the scientific method. You can there are controls that can be exercised, and data that can be replicated. So I think that book right there is a very tiny drop in a great big bucket toward having universal recognition. But yes, I have already proven and put in print for the world to see that it can be done.
Very cool. I can't wait to read it. And because it is what it is. I mean, I've taken some diehard skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of one particular mansion here in Vegas that my wife and I went to many, many times. And you take in these diehard skeptical parapsychologists,
Mm-hmm.
and you can have a full body apparition appear in front of them and then be gone. And they saw it, but they're immediately looking at you and already figuring out ways to debunk that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe there's, regardless of what happens,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how successful you are at proving the existence of ghosts, there's going to be some people out there that just aren't going to buy into it.
Well,
And
Red, there are people that still say we never walked on the moon.
Yeah, there you go. See, and my wife, we talk about the drama. It's like my wife is so overly protective of me, and I just naturally, I've never been, other than back in the day, I've caught myself getting a little politically involved in some things, which now I try not to do anymore because that's a joke. Um, I have just I don't get involved in the drama, and so I don't even let my wife see when people lash out at me. It doesn't happen so much anymore. But in the very beginning, starting out, there's were the people that seemed like that's all they were in this field for, was to hunt and attack other investigators and try and, you know, just unload on them. And my wife would get very, she'd want to lash back out and fight back, and I was like, no, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want. So
yeah, they want a reaction out of you.
Yeah. And so I realize there's people out there that,
they don't want knowledge or intelligence. They want emotion.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the knowledge or the intelligence to, present it intellectually, or to present it rationally. So they lash out expecting an emotional response.
This is another question I wasn't going to ask you. See this?
Do I bring out the best or the worst in you, Rev?
Always the best. I love you and respect you. I can't believe it's been so long since I've had a chat like this. That's why these questions are just coming out of nowhere for you. I was speaking to, just this past week, a para-buddy of mine that's been friends of mine for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I told him he was going to be on the show tonight, he goes, weren't you supposed to go to an event she had in Colorado several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
What happened with that? And I remember you and I having a discussion where you were putting together an event.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to know if I would come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I even started looking for airfare out there. My sister, who's now since moved from Colorado
mm-hmm.
to Vegas, was living there. And I was going to make it a trip where I would visit her, come
Mm-hmm.
to the event, yada, yada, yada. I couldn't remember what happened with that.
COVID happened.
Ooh, there we go. Yeah, I know that I didn't think it happened and I didn't go. I just couldn't remember what had happened.
Yeah.
So
We're still, it's still on our radar. to put on the I think we're calling it Rocky Mountain Paracon.
That's it.
Um,
That's right. Yeah.
it's still on our radar. It's just on a back burner right now, because COVID happened and life happened, and there have been births and deaths and marriages and divorces and it, jobs and school and all kinds of, and that's just my life. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so COVID happened, and so we kind of put it on the back burner. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because just this last week I actually pulled out my old Paracon notes and went, I think I have a venue for this now, and I'm thinking we can make this a go. So we'll probably look at it for maybe 2024.
Very cool. And I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, that how hard it is to do that. People know that I'm good friends with Brian Purdy of Elite Vegas Paranormal. He had the Las Vegas Paracon here for 2 or 3 years,
Mhm.
and he's a great person to talk to about how difficult it is to put one of those together and how much money you end up having to spend out of your
Oh
own
yeah,
pocket,
yeah,
and you don't really make money.
right.
And especially if you want to try and get like all the big name
Yeah,
stars.
if you want a big name there, you're looking at thousands of dollars. You
Yeah,
have to pay their travel and their lodging and their food and their appearance fee.
yeah,
And it's like,
it's
we're
brutal.
giving you a free
It's brutal.
vacation, and you want an appearance fee on top of that. And for most of them, their appearance fee is about $5,000 on top of food, lodging, travel. So yeah, it's not cheap.
Well, I will be. I will be. You and I are going to, before you have your event, if it goes down in 2024. You and I are going to do this probably a couple, three more times.
At the
Getting
very
with
least.
Elias and Chappie, and I will keep my eyes out for that. And if I can get there, I am so there, because even though my sister doesn't live there any longer, I have lots of friends in Colorado. And
Mhm.
Colorado, here's another question I wasn't going to ask you. Colorado is very, very haunted. One, the whole state is so deep. People always think of the Midwest as this, but
Mhm.
Colorado is deeply steeped in indigenous heritage.
Mhm.
So I talk to people all the time that are encountering um, Indian spirits, whether they happen to be, well, practically the whole state is Indian land,
Mhm.
but that whether they're on um, some very their home is built accidentally on some ancient burial ground or
Mhm.
some Indian ground, they are having some really off the wall hauntings.
Mhm.
I know you just moved, but you were in, help me out. What's the town you just moved from?
I was in Rifle,
Name another town.
uh, Newcastle, Glenwood
How about your
Springs,
hometown?
Grand Junction.
Boom. I have a Grand Junction case back in the day. A gentleman had such a bad encounter. I guess in downtown Grand Junction, there's tunnels from like the lodge to a
From the
hotel.
Elks Lodge to the Melrose Hotel. Yes, and the
Now
St.
here,
Regis.
Now here we go. A lot of people think of tunnels in Grand Junction. They think of either the catacombs in Paris, or they think of
Right.
the tunnels under Seattle.
Right.
Do you know much about that? And can you share
I
that
do know.
history of your hometown with us?
I
It's
do know a little
Halloween,
bit about
so
that. So the Elks Lodge, which is one of the oldest buildings in Grand Junction, did have a tunnel that went from their basement, and I've had the privilege of investigating the Elks Lodge and the Melrose Hotel. Um, and there was a tunnel that went from the Elks Lodge to the area between the Melrose and the St. Regis, and women were not allowed in the Elks Lodge per se. In fact, they still have very strict rules about women in the upper floors of the Elks Lodge. When we investigated, I had to be escorted to the upper levels um, by lodge brothers because of my gender. And So the tunnels have since been sealed off, but back in the day, and we're talking, you know, early 20th century, early to mid 20th century, um, the Lodge brothers would either go to one of the hotels via the tunnels or sneak women from one of the hotels to the basement of the lodge
Hmm.
where nefarious activities would
Mm-hmm.
take
Them,
place.
them
If it
sneaky Lodge brothers.
Well, if it took place at the lodge, um, it was a little more nefarious than if a lodge brother were to go to the hotel and access a woman there. Um,
The red light district, I would
it
imagine the tunnels went to there.
it was pretty much the red light district. It was very much low income, um, and you know, women. Some of the women were actually living in the two hotels, uh, but if the woman was brought to the Elks Lodge, she was more of a plaything
Hmm.
for multiple lodge brothers than if a single gentleman were to use the tunnel and go to the hotel. Um,
Yeah,
so it was pretty grotesque. And
I would imagine.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah, we actually got some really good poltergeist activity in that basement area. Um,
And
it
now
was
they've shut the tunnels off.
the tunnels have been sealed. The
What about
tunnels
some
have
of
been
the
sealed
other
fully.
haunted
Yeah.
locations there? Do they give any tours or anything?
Um, you know, we were lined up to start doing tours of the Melrose Hotel. Um, but we had one investigator in 2020 who um, decided they needed to start experimenting with narcotics, and that person's behavior essentially got us blacklisted as an
Wow.
organization from the hotel, even though as soon as it got back to me, that person was terminated uh, from the organization. But as far as the hotel was concerned, there was absolutely no amount of damage control I could do.
Wow.
The hotel has since been bought, so we are kind of hopeful that we can get back in and get back on track as soon as they're done with their renovations. Because I believe it's either on the historic register or it's in the process of getting onto the historic register. Um, but there were some structural issues that needed to be addressed and quickly.
Yeah, that's too bad. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure it's going to happen. You guys, your reputation is besides that one little thing you just mentioned, is pretty much
Well,
right up there. You
just
got a
like
very
with
good
any
reputation.
other organization or any other
It
business,
happens.
you know, it happens. You know, we had one investigator um, 10, 15 years ago. In fact, he was our technical manager at the time, was arrested, tried, and convicted for felony home invasion.
Wow.
He's still in prison. Uh, and, you know, I had his back. Um, it's like, guilty until or innocent until proven guilty, until he actually told me what happened. And I said, "So you did it? You did what they're accusing you of?" "Well, no, it wasn't like that." I'm like, "You did this." And I'm like, "I can't have you in my organization. I can't have you going into people's homes and people's businesses." Um, I'm sorry. I love you, you know, but you did what they're accusing you of doing. I can't have you as part of the team. And he's actually still in prison.
Well, where did you just move to?
Where did I just move to?
Yeah.
I moved to a little tiny, don't blink or you'll miss it town called Whitewater.
Okay. I could be if I'm wrong. Tell me. I- I'm without having to look at my records. I'm that name sounds very familiar. Like I want to say prehistoric sites there. I want to say
Old Spanish
some
Trail.
haunted locations there too.
There is one that we are actively researching right now, called Suicide Hill.
Ooh.
Um, and it is called that because a couple times a year, people drive up there and take their life.
Wow.
So we're investigating the area for signs of geographic psychic trauma, to see if those poor souls are lingering in some residual or intelligent way. And we're also trying to discern if there is some sort of energy in the area or some kind of geographic composition. There's no funhouse effect. It's on the top of a hill. So there's no funhouse effect, but something in the area that could bring about severe depression.
That's very well. It's sad and it's odd.
Yeah. The Old Spanish Trail also runs through
That's
through
so
that area
weird.
too.
We have that through here too. There's
Mhm.
a park not too far from me here where the like right through the center of the park, and they've left it alone, so it looks like this dirt road right through the
Mhm.
middle of the park with these little stands, and talks about the different things that have happened on
Mhm.
this part of the Spanish Trail. And I
Mhm.
was there, I don't know, 4 a.m. in the morning once, just ran my, and it's like set way back in this very quiet neighborhood. But my recordings captured like stagecoaches and horses and
Ooh.
gunfire and stuff. It was pretty interesting. Um, we don't have a ton of time left, but this is two things I want to ask you before you go.
Sure.
Just for argument's sake. Do you believe in ghosts?
Absolutely.
I already knew the answer to that. So I'm gonna. This is two-part question.
Sure.
What in your humble professional opinion, what are ghosts? And your book, the title jumped right out at me, and I am having more and more people reach out to me talking about believing they've encountered these hitchhiking ghosts.
Mhm.
So, what are ghosts, and why does that phenomena of hitchhiking ghosts? I don't believe it's on the rise, but why do you think that occurs?
So, ghosts, that's a multifaceted question. What are they? They can be the energy imprint left over, from a formerly living person. They can be the consciousness of a formerly living person. Uh, it depends on the type of ghost and the classification. As far as what they are exactly. There's just as there's different kinds of people. There's babies and toddlers and children and adults and senior citizens and then we have the ghosts. There's you know intelligent and residual and poltergeists. Um, so yeah, ghosts
Do you
are.
believe ghosts? Do you believe, besides the whole demonic thing or malevolent behaving
Mhm.
elementals, let's say, do you believe certain ghosts should be feared, or should we not worry? Should we not fear ghosts?
Um, there are ghosts that it's my experience, and there are no professionals in this business, but it's my professional opinion, that if someone was a stinker while they were alive, chances are they're going to be stinker and on the other side too. So uh, as far as being able to physically hurt someone, it is extremely rare. It is not as common as the guy in the too tight t-shirt on television would have you believe. um, but you know treat the departed with the same respect, love, compassion, consideration, and kindness that you would treat the living. Golden rule. you know Treat others regardless of what side they're on as you would want to be treated. um and what was the second question?
the
Oh yeah,
phenomena of
hitchhikers.
well, I always think when somebody calls me up and says I was driving down the road and I encountered this odd thing, before they even say anything, so I always think of a lot of people I've talked to have encountered this black-eyed children or now just black-eyed people phenomena on the side of the road. But I get a lot of calls about people encountering these weird ghostly phenomena on road trips. And not all of them are actually out there hitchhiking, although some have said that they appeared to be hitchhiking or at least flagging you down.
Yeah,
And then if you stop to let them in, they never get to the car. Some of them have even seen the spirits react, not residual, because they react to the car stopping
right.
and they come to you and then they never make it to the car.
They never make it to the car, or they get in the car and they vanish. Um, yeah, there's a lot of possible reasons for hitchhiker phenomena. One of them is geographic psychic trauma. That was part of what the Phantom Hitchhiker project that we conducted for nearly 10 years focused on. We focused on roadside locations where at least one vehicle accident led to, where at least where a vehicle accident led to at least one human fatality. And that was actually one of the controls in our experiment, was, that commonality that these locations had, was that a vehicle accident resulted in at least one human fatality. So, it could be, the result of geographic psychic trauma, that there was an accident or a tragedy of some sort, at a specific location. And so that spirit is either trying to get home or trying to warn you of potential danger ahead. I've heard stories about those. Um, and then there are some that are just pranksters. They're like, here, hey, watch this. Boom.
Yeah,
Um,
that whole phenomenon it just trips me out.
it's
Um,
fascinating to study, Rev.
I'm surprised you don't. I don't hear you talking more about being in Colorado, and I don't know exactly where, what it looks like where you live, but I also know a lot of Bigfooters from Colorado, and I don't know how much you are or aren't into that, but I don't see or hear you talking much about cryptids.
Well, my team is in the process of developing a crypto division. It's going to launch this spring. We've
How
got
cool is that? I did
Yeah,
not know that.
we've got some diehard outdoor enthusiasts that are, they're already going, what equipment can we take, that we can put in a backpack or whatever, because it's a whole different game when you're investigating cryptids as opposed to investigating ghosts, and even more different than investigating ETs. So, they had to, they have to sit down and go, okay, what can we use? What is portable, and where are we going to go, and how are we going to do this? How are we going to keep ourselves safe? Are we going to emulate what we see on TV, or are we going to strike out on our own and do something different? What are our plans and our backup plans? Because they're going to be out in the wilderness,
Yeah. And
which is,
especially, and you're coming into a time of the year where it's rough to be out in the wilderness in Colorado.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so luckily, I've got a Four Seasons rated camper.
I find it also amazing how many people I talk to who are either a cryptid guy or a ghost guy or a ufologist, who now these fields seem to be bleeding into one another. A
Yeah.
squatcher goes out to squatch and he sees a ghost. A ghost hunter goes out to a haunted park or a haunted forest and sees Sasquatch. Both have been at these locations and have seen UFOs. I find that phenomena weird.
Well, and
Um,
there are a lot of theories that what we are encountering could be the same entities. That extraterrestrials could be cryptids, or Bigfoot could be an ET. Um, you get into quantum physics of it all. Talking about parallel dimensions and stuff with regard to ETs, cryptids, and ghosts. Um, and so, then you throw theology into it, and think and ponder if maybe what we are seeing as ghosts or cryptids or extraterrestrials aren't the spirits in purgatory awaiting judgment. So there's a lot of theories out there. That's one of the things that I absolutely love about what I do, is that I get to research these theories. I get to look into them. I get to explore them. I get to play with them and have fun and twist them and go, okay, what if, and I can rabbit trail. I can do all kinds of fun things. That is one of the things that I absolutely love about this.
Well, before I have to cut you off, see, I told you the show goes by fast now.
It does.
Leave some advice, good and bad, for all of the next generation. I get a lot of next generation people reaching up to me, and I just tell them simply, do you, get some training, don't do what you saw on TV, but be yourself, do you, have fun, learn to laugh, especially at yourself, but respect the location, respect the ghosts. So now, with my one question that came in from a viewer, and you having such a successful team and such a great reputation in this field, give us a big don't if you're going to be in this field, and then a big do.
Okay. The big don't is it's a two-pronged don't. Don't provoke, and don't allude that they're dead. It goes back to the whole golden rule. Treat others as you would want to be treated. You get, what is it? You get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So golden rule: treat them as you would want to be treated. So don't provoke. Don't stand there and scream, "Show yourself to me!" Oh, that sounded a lot like the guy in the too tight t-shirt. Let me try that again. Don't go, "I demand that you make your presence known." No. Also,
or take my energy.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
And don't allude to the fact that they're dead. Don't say, "Are there any ghosts here? Are there any spirits here? When did you die? How did you die? Where did you die?" They may not know. And so if you are interacting with an intelligent entity and you're going, "When did you die? How did you die? You're dead, right?" They're not really going to want to talk to you, because as far as they know, they're not dead. How would you like it? How would you feel if I walked up to you and got in your face and said, "How did you die?" And you're going, "I'm not dead." "Where did you die?" "I'm not dead." "When did you die?" "I'm not dead." You're going to get upset. So you could be making a potentially bad situation worse, or you could be making a good situation bad. So don't ask if there's any ghosts here that want to communicate, or are there any spirits here that want to communicate. How did you die? Where did you die? When did you die? No, bad idea.
Oh gosh. I love you. I respect you. We got to do this more often. It's been too long. I don't know why it's been too long either.
Yeah, I don't know why it's been too long either, but you and I need to have a chat here in the very, very near future, because I've got I got a hamster wheel that's
Okay.
about to catch fire.
I want you to have a wonderful remainder of your Monday evening. Thank you so much for spending an hour out of your busy Monday to hang out with me at a friend's house on a bed. I'll let you get back to that. And just God bless you. You're on the prayer list, and I will be reaching out to you soon to have you back so we can continue this.
Perfect.
Clarissa, I'll see you later.
Good night.
Good night. Clarissa Vasquez, and here's her book. Oh gosh, I will be here this Friday. Oh, this Friday's going to be a good one. I already know who's going to be here. Everybody's going to go, "What?" Yeah. From Ask Madam and Madam After Dark, the one and only Madam will be here this Friday, November 28th. And no, it's not going to be a fetish fantasy ball version of the Paranormal Ministry. You're going to see a whole new side of Madam, and we're going to be all ghosty and witchy and paranormally for Halloween, kicking off the Halloween weekend. So that'll be this Friday, the 28th. Madam. CommunityPayItForward.us. CommunityPayItForward.us. Go there, donate to the hurricane relief. The United States Old Catholic Church and Bishop James Long has night prayer every weeknight at 7 p.m. Pacific. I always have the link on my personal Facebook page. You can also go to usocc.org for the link. That's a good time. It's about 15 minutes long, but night prayer is beautiful. Bishop James Long in the United States Old Catholic Church also has Bible study every Wednesday and Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m. Pacific. That's about 2 hours long, but that's really, really cool and a good time too if you need a little more God in your life. And I know some of you do. I always have the link also on my Facebook page, and you can also go again to usocc.org and get the link there. I want to thank Things Network, who has an anniversary coming up here soon. So thank you, Things Network. Thank you, Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. Thank you to PACT, Little P ACT, Podcasting All Coming Together Channel, and Skeleton Key Network, all for simulcasting my show. God bless you. You're all on the prayer list. And thank each and every one of you for being here on a Monday night for an hour with me, because I don't have a show without you guys. So God bless each and every one of you. Bad joke time. I'm pulling a joke out of a hat that one of you sent in to try and put a smile on everybody's face before I say goodbye. What does a clock do when it's hungry? It goes back for seconds. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless each and every one of you. I love you all. Peace.